All right, guys, welcome to our topic of the week.
Oh, yeah.
So Red Dead Redemption 2 is coming out next week, Friday, October 26th.
Yes, sir.
But there's been a bit of a kerfuffle this week with Rockstar and their working conditions.
A little bit of drama.
A bit of drama that's really been blowing up the last few days, and I thought it would make for an interesting discussion.
Yeah.
So one of the co-founders of Rockstar, his name is Dan Houser, sorry. He was giving an interview to New York Magazine about how much they worked, the hours they were putting in to get Red Dead Redemption done specifically during 2019. So I'm just going to quote a bit from the article and what Dan Houser says, just so people have some context. So what it says, this is from Vulture Magazine. The polishing, rewrites, and re-edits Rockstar does are immense. We were working 100-hour weeks several times in 2018, Dan says. The finished game includes 300,000 animations, 500,000 lines of dialogue, and many more lines of code. Even for each Red Dead 2 trailer and TV commercial, we probably made 70 versions, but the editors may make several hundred. Sam is Dan's brother, Sam and I will both make lots of suggestions, as will other members of the team. Yeah. So now this has blown up because people have been outraged for a long time in the video game industry around the idea of crunch. This happens when a game project is nearing completion, and developers will put in obscene amount of hours until like 4, 5, 6 in the morning, days or weeks on end to get a project through the door.
It may not even be near completion in some cases.
Not even near completion. Sometimes it happens earlier in a project's gestation period even. Some studios that are famous for this, Rockstar, from years ago even, Naughty Dog, CD Projekt Red, a lot of big AAA studios do this kind of thing where they
The crunch is normal in the video game industry.
Crunch is normal, but it really shouldn't be. Now, the thing is, people have been rightfully quite upset about this because, I mean, if you're working 100 hours a week, that means you're working, for example, from 8 to 10 at night every single day.
On a daily basis.
For weeks.
Yeah.
It means you're not seeing your family, you're not seeing your friends. Mind you, this factors in working on weekends a lot of the time. Yeah. Not that we know it applies to Rockstar specifically. Yeah. But Patrick, what do you think about this whole situation? And my question is, how serious are such working conditions for the industry, considering publisher demands that are put on developers, expensive budgets, games cost over $100 million to make, tight release schedules, you have to hit this deadline for Christmas, and marketing hype. All of those things contribute to the insane amount of hours developers will work on a game, but and that affects their health and lifestyle and being with your family and just being a human being. Yeah. But what do you think?
I've always thought of the video game industry as a very difficult one when it comes to the programmers themselves, because even when I read Blood, Sweat and Pixels by Jason Schreier, you should read it, what he explained most of the time was the crunch. The crunch meant you working overtime for hours on end, for weeks on end, and this always resulted in the employees getting exhausted. This resulted in some employees moving their homes closer to the office because they were too terrified to drive home. Yeah. And this means that you're in front of a computer pretty much the whole day. And I'm not saying that this is a good thing. This is definitely a bad thing. But this is something that has become a norm in the video game industry for developers. Now, to have this uproar for Rockstar kind of puts me on edge because, I mean, it hits me in a bad way.
Dan Houser was trying to clarify about those working hours. And if I can just quote him from what he gave to Kotaku, he said, "The point I was trying to make in the article was related to how the narrative and dialogue in the game was crafted, which was mostly what we talked about, not about the different processes of the wider team. After working on the game for 7 years, the senior writing team, which consists of 4 people, Mike Unsworth, Rupert Humphreys, Laszlo, and myself, had, as we always do, 3 weeks of intense work when we wrapped everything up. 3 weeks, not years. And then he goes on to say a bunch of other stuff that I
Yep.
don't think really matters. So
Okay.
he was, so like the initial uproar was like he was boasting, yeah, we were working 100-hour weeks, and everybody thought that applied to everyone at
And
Rockstar.
everybody went crazy.
But he came out and said, no, it was me and my other buddies in the writing team,
Yeah.
and it was for a certain period of time, 3 weeks, not every year and stuff like
So
that.
this may have been taken out of context in terms of
Yes.
this was me and my small team working
Yes.
100 hours a week,
Yes.
not everybody at Rockstar working in a sweatshop.
in a sweatshop, essentially, yes.
Oh,
yes.
okay. But in a sense that I wouldn't be surprised that people at Rockstar were crunching,
Yeah.
which I feel that is normal. Not a good thing, but normal. I mean, look.
Let's be honest. Like software, I feel like even kids who are studying software engineering or computer science at school, when they work on projects, they more than likely have to work beyond the regular hours they're given, because software is such a nebulous kind of thing. It's not like you just get a solution and you work it out there and then.
Of course.
It involves a lot of brain power, a lot of thinking to arrive to solutions, and that might involve putting in more time than you need. The point is people should be compensated for that time, extra time they put in.
Overtime should be paid.
Overtime should be put in, and we have had some Rockstar employees come out today, actually, talking about how they've been working on Red Dead 2 and they've been paid overtime, and they've been working 40 to 50-hour weeks, which is practically normal, a bit extra, but nothing insane.
Not 100.
Getting a big project done will require you to do extra time. The thing is, you should be compensated for that.
Yeah, you should.
know.
You should. I mean, I won't always take their word for it, saying that everybody
I
at
agree.
Rockstar
Yes.
was working a casual 40
agree.
to 50 hours a week. There are people who probably crunch
100%.
100 hours, but I still think that they get paid for it. And even if they do crunch 100 hours, I don't think they do it for that long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like as players, like as people who are consuming these games, and I think the wrong thing to do would be to boycott Red Dead Redemption 2 or
Oh, no, of course
or
not.
boycott Cyberpunk or whatever, because you hear they were crunching like mad. Like that's kind of like disrespectful to the amount of effort that they put into the
of
game.
course.
They want you to get the game and enjoy the amount of blood, sweat, and tears or pixels.
Yeah.
Shout out Jason Schreier. That they poured into their project. And they want you to enjoy it and experience it. So not buying the game.
I crunched
Yeah,
for this.
I crunched
Buy
for
the
you
game.
to be happy. Yeah. And buy the game, but I think make a point of supporting developers on Twitter, supporting developers who talk and make with a public platform.
And the union is very important
Yeah,
as well.
and unionization is needed.
Because we may talk about it casually and say maybe some of them crunched, maybe some of them didn't crunch, but there's always a central body that is required for people to talk and their voices to be heard as a programmer as well.
Yeah. So just so you guys know, video game developers have no unions.
No
Voice
union.
actors in video games are part of a union called SAG-AFTRA. So they have conditions in terms of the amount of time they can spend in a voice recording booth before their vocal cords are stressed, getting revenue from projects, and just stipulations to make their work environment more healthy. Game developers have none of that, because most of the time, if you try say something or you don't think you should be working those extra long hours, you can be booted out for a kid fresh out from college.
They'll find someone else.
They'll find someone else to replace you very quickly. So it's a bit of a sad situation, But be nice to developers online, I think, is one way to go about it. Like, be nice to them. Don't be a troll. And fight for developers getting unions is pretty much. I will say this: you do not make a game like Red Dead Redemption 2 without hundreds,
crunching.
without thousands of hours of manpower being put into a game. There is absolutely no way. It just requires it. It's just a matter of getting that work-life balance right, compensation right, and making sure your workforce is healthy and happy.
Yeah, that's the key.
Yeah, I think that's the key. Yeah. So I don't know, tell us what you guys think about crunch and developers working pretty long, crazy hours to get our favorite video games out of the door. A lot of crazy effort goes into this, and a lot of these developers are invisible. You don't know about any of them.
If you're upset enough to not buy
To not buy Red Dead. I am not. I am very upset about certain things, but I want to play this game, and I know the developers would want me to play the game.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna be buying. I've already bought Red Dead. What am I saying? So that's topic of the week, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. Please join us on our final section as we both discuss the games that we've been playing lately. Thanks so much, guys.